official. I have officially finished a 37-hour fast. I honestly feel like I could go longer, but I'm not going to. I'm not. We're gonna eat now. Welcome back to part 2 of my fasting Q&A. If you missed part 1, I highly recommend. Here are some of the questions answered in that vlog. If you've already seen part 1, stick around because I feel like part 2 is going to be just as good. So the first question is, what did I notice during the fast? What I noticed during the fast is just how much less I was starving compared to the 72-hour fast. I felt like it was a lot more straightforward and easy and doable. To me, that just went to show that taking small steps was the right way for me. I feel like one thing with the 72-hour fast, it was a bit too daunting. It was a big jump. It was too big of a jump. So, next question is, when did I feel the best during the 40-hour fast? I felt pretty good throughout. I wouldn't say there was any terrible moments, but I do recall feeling really good the next morning after I woke up. And just to show you guys, we're gonna rewind and add in some of those clips here. This time was way easier than last time when I tried to do the fast. That's gonna be posted in my vlogs, which you guys will have already seen by the time this one goes up. This was way easier. I got it done. I think also I don't know. I don't know. I think that also has to do with the time that I started, because I started it at nighttime on Monday. The beginning of the fast was basically sleeping. I mostly didn't have to eat for one day, which I already know I can do. And then the end of the fast was sleeping as well. And now this morning it's just been a few hours, which I'm used to not eating right when I wake up anyway. So I just feel like this was planned better according to me and my natural state of discipline versus forcing a level of discipline that I have not trained before or gotten to before. So there you go. I'll see you guys in a bit. It's almost 11. I still haven't eaten because I was getting dressed and ready for the day. And I do think I could keep going. That's the interesting thing. I just feel like I could go for the rest of the day, but I'm not going to, because I told myself last time, and I said it, I was going to take small steps towards doing the 3-day fast. And yeah, just going straight into it again wouldn't be taking small steps. So I'm going to break my fast in the next hour, and that way I'll have fasted for close to 40 hours. I figured it out. So if I break my fast, which I already have my meal planned, I'm gonna have beans, lightly seasoned with a piece of toast, just because it's a later meal, and then it's high fiber and has protein as well. So I'm gonna have that as my breakfast. I think we're actually going to wait until 1 p.m. and that way I'll have completed the full 40 hours of fasting. Just look at her go. In the meantime, I have to film an outro or end to that other vlog that I'm gonna have to edit soon for the fasting vlog. It's called Total Body Reset, and I'm gonna do that right now because I might as well. And I'm gonna walk Basil. I made it 40 hours. 40 hours, guys. Who is she? Like, actually, who is she? Just going to break my fast with some bread and beans, and then I'm actually heading out to go to IKEA with a friend and run an errand. And I have 2 vlogs exported. Things are going Gucci. I love this. This is my ready dog. Yeah. I'm back home. When did I feel the worst? I felt the worst during the in-between phase, and that was when I was around the 24-hour mark, so that ketone transition phase. What caught me off guard? I think what caught me off guard was how much more easily I finished and completed this fast after the 72-hour fast. This is actually more close to how I feel when I do the 24-hour fasts. I, up until the 72-hour fast, hadn't had any difficulties with fasting. Of course, like I mentioned in the last vlog, I've done shorter fasts for a while, but I didn't have any trouble. And then I did the 72-hour fast, which is why it was such a surprise that I couldn't finish it. And oh, my water's stuck. There's chia seed in this. Better. There's chia seed in this. So I've been trying to get my fiber in. Look at that. Can you guys see all the chia seeds in there? Okay, I found a question that I feel like people are definitely going to be interested. I can't. People are definitely going to be interested in. It says, where is the line between discipline and self-punishment? I think the line between discipline and self-punishment is different for everybody. Some people would argue that exercise is self-punishment. Some of the things that I've done, which is like deadlifting 200 pounds, some people would see that as self-punishment. So I think it's just really subjective. The way I define it is, to me, discipline is building me, self-punishment breaks me. And so if it's building me, it's discipline. And if it's breaking me down, tearing me apart on the inside, it's self-punishment. And I find a lot of the things that I would say are self-punishment would be thinking bad thoughts about yourself, which is something I struggle with. Staying in bad relationships, tolerating disrespect, not standing up for yourself, not speaking up for yourself. I think those things are definitely self-punishment. Disordered eating, I also see as self-punishment, so not nourishing myself. And to me, restricted eating is also self-punishment. But again, everyone's different. So this is my balance. This is what I feel works for me. I've seen people discuss how they do one meal a day and then they don't eat anything else until the next day when they have their single meal of the day. And I just don't see how, in my opinion, you can nourish your body effectively if you're doing that. It just doesn't make sense to me. And so there's different versions of this. There's different extremes of this. Everyone has their own opinion. I'm just outlining what I do and what works for me and documenting it. Again, I can tell you my observations and how I feel subjectively, and then you have the objective video proof. I'm sure people can see how I am by the end and afterwards. Also see through my content how I was a year ago and how I am now. And I'm really transparent. I still let you guys know I struggle with burnout and I'm still learning how to balance things. So from all of that, you can kind of take what you want from these videos. All I can do is really give you guys the information that's my personal experience and what I've researched or looked at in order for me to make these decisions about my life. Ultimately, I heavily emphasize that everyone should just find their own right or their own path. Maybe the people that are eating once a day are right. I could be wrong. I could be right. They could be wrong. There could be some things I have right, some things that they have right, and some things we both have wrong. It's just, yeah, that's it. That's it. I can give you guys my thinking behind things and why I do things this way. I just have noticed that as you age, your metabolism slows down. And as your metabolism slows down, you can't eat as much without putting on weight. So by 30, if you're already only eating a meal a day, assuming everything else stays constant, that meal is going to start to make you put on weight. And then you have to eat even less than that to maintain your body weight. So I just feel like I kind of take those types of things into consideration. If you hear that and have a thought or an answer or something that you want to add to the conversation, feel free to leave that in the comments. But that's really what I struggle with the single meal a day lifestyle. It's just that I don't think that's sustainable in the long run, because I feel like, even for me, if I'm at this point now, then where will I be at 40? Where will I be at 50? Where will I be at 60? And that's where my mind goes when I'm trying to find solutions. So I try to think in the long run of like 80-year-old me who's trying to live till 90 or 100. And yeah, that's really my thought process. I try to think about I try to think about what would benefit me the most at that point, and I like to see my metabolism. The way I want my metabolism to be is that I'm like a furnace. Like, I say this before, and I have a hard time explaining it, so I'll do my best now. But if anyone really understands what I'm trying to say, feel free to add in to the conversation. But I want my body to be like a furnace where it's just burning everything that I put into it, and it's burning through that, and it's just heavily efficient and heavily fueled. I'm not going to sit here and say I have all the answers. This is, of course, an exploration. It's a proposed solution. It's a working hypothesis. That's what it is. And so, yeah, but I've done this for a few years now, and I can overall say that my trajectory has been upwards. I feel like I've improved from where I was last year and the year before that. And I even look back at the fasting vlog in August, and to me, at least, I look more bloated. So, and my energy levels have improved. It's a lot of it is coming from my thinking and how much it's improved. Prolonged fasting is not the only thing I've changed, and there's been things I've taken away, but it's part of the changes that I've made, and that's all I can really offer, is just the truth and then the journey. How has my definition of discipline changed? This is a good question, because my definition of discipline has definitely changed from when I was in my early 20s. In my early 20s, my definition of discipline was go, 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 go. Like, go. It was just green light, green light, green light. And I think as I've come into my 30s, I really focus more on going and stopping, resting. Right now, as we speak, in April 29th, I'm incorporating more active preventative rest days into my schedule so I don't end up burning out. I'm also changing my perspective on life and things. I think I'm at a point now where I'm creating space for the idea that it's okay to have bursts of a time period where I'm doing more, and to anticipate rest that's going to have to be necessary after a period like that. For instance, with my sister's wedding, I wouldn't take anything back from that week, but it was hard on my body. I didn't sleep as much. I wasn't drinking as much water. It was not ideal in terms of healthy habits, just because of how an Indian wedding is. But would I take any of that back? No, I wouldn't. So, accepting that and knowing that, and then planning ahead and planning for it, that's really where I'm at in my 30s. It's just being more intentional, I think, is what I'm trying to say, and more in aligned with who I am and who I know myself to be. I know that I'm susceptible to burnout, and that I need to plan around that and have that in mind with almost everything that I do. So I think discipline to me now includes rest. It includes a stop button. It includes slowing down. Whereas before, I thought if I wasn't just speeding up all the time, I wasn't being disciplined. Next question is, what am I taking from this going forward? I think I'm open to seeing where it takes me and where it goes. I will still try a fast that is longer than 40 hours. I will report back to you guys. I will likely document it. I will make sure I do all those things, have at least a before and after type of situation, the way I've done before, where it's like you kind of see me before the fast starts. I know with the 40-hour vlog, I didn't film at hour 0. That was my bad, but just going forward, trying to do that and make sure that happens. So there's clear comparison points for anyone that's interested in seeing how it happens, or how I am before and after. But even then, there is footage that kind of shows how I was before, because that's in this vlog. I'll pop it up here. You kind of see how I am at the start of the vlog. I'm a bit overwhelmed with editing for Vlogmas and a bit of a slump. And then you kind of see me and how I am. It's called page 39, Fighting My Inner Hermit. You see how I am by the Thursday on November 27th. That is the day after the fast. So if you want to watch that and draw your own conclusions, or just see, that would give you a clearer picture of what I was like before the fast and after the fast, even though it isn't in the Q&A part 1 itself. It is definitely something you could see by watching page 39, and also supplementing that with the bonus 40-hour fasting vlog part 1, and this part 2. And then the last question I'm going to answer is, if I speak out against girls not eating, why do I fast? I am someone that's been vocal on my Twitter X account about girls not eating. I had disordered eating somewhere in between that university introducing fasting into my life phase, and also at that time restricted eating, and then starting to work, entering the workforce, struggling with inconsistent eating, and then now into who I am in my 30s, which is the balance of the fasting and the nourishment, being more intentional about meeting my energetic demands through food and nutrient demands through food. I have experienced, I feel like, a full spectrum of I feel like I've experienced a lot of different eating patterns and habits. And I would say that right now, this is where I feel the best in my body right now. This is where I feel like I have the best relationship with myself. I wouldn't say I had that in my early 20s. I was really hard on myself in my early 20s when I was doing the restricted eating. And then in my mid 20s, uh, continuing with overworking and all those things that I've mentioned, not slowing down as much, not being as intentional, not listening to my body. I feel like I listen to my body way more now. I feel like right now is a point at which I have the best relationship with myself. That being said, this to me is different from not eating. I've had inconsistent eating patterns, and comparing them to this, I don't feel like that is the same at all. I feel like what was happening when I was doing that is a lot different than what's happening right now. It's really about intention and context. Just to make sure it's very clear, I'm not doing these prolonged fasts so often, um, to an extreme. I only did one over 24 hours last year. I don't recall how many 24-hour fasts I did last year, but I'm sure altogether it's still not a very large number. Outside of the prolonged fasts, I have pretty consistent eating patterns. There's, of course, things I want to change about my day-to-day eating window, but the amount of food that I'm eating, just the nourishment in general, is a lot more intentional than it's ever been, actually, in my entire life. And it's a lot more nutrient focused, and it feels a lot less heavy for me to carry. It doesn't feel like a burden. It actually feels like something that's more natural and more intuitive. Next week, my video will be about my dopamine crashes in 2025 and how I've been managing them. I think it's going to be really interesting. If you feel like you might be going through something similar, make sure to tune back, because I'll go more in depth about how I realized this was happening and what it looked like for me. And I feel like I have been doing a much better job of managing them now that I'm aware that it's happening, because about a year ago, I didn't even realize it was happening. Anyways, thank you guys again for watching. I will see you back here soon. Bye.